Hello and welcome to the show. For this week's FailRace versus the community, we were to go racing with A-Class V8 engined cars. Our first race was at the Sonoma Raceway as we run up into these opening corners. Ferraris had had some relatively nice starting position with a 3 inside the top 4, the 288 managing to make his way up into third place, spitting the twin 360 challenges. The 360 challenge was really popular. There were about 5 or 6 of them in this opening race. We didn't really see them in any of the later ones as we head down towards this next corner. The 2 Ferraris would dive up the inside of the BMW, struggling slightly for grip. The BMW that would put the 360 challenge up into the lead for now, with the 288 in second as the rest of the field files their way through. Once more, Forza was not being very kind with my starting positions. Again, I wouldn't start higher than 20th in this session, so I had a lot of work to do in my Shelby. Fortunately, the GT350R, a rather good car. I got up the inside of 2 vehicles into the hairpin. Do run a little bit wide. The Corvette is indeed trying to fight back as we run towards the start-finish line. But the Shelby was a pretty damn good car, this one. It could carry very good quarter speed while still being a match for quite a lot of cars in terms of acceleration and straight line speed. So yeah, I would get the move done on the Corvette. At the front, the field would get fairly spread out quite quickly as the Esprit is doing a little bit of rallycross. This Mustang GT was keen to find a way past a BMW, a good exit down this short straight, and the Mustang would be to the inside to get the pass done. Sonoma, not the easiest of tracks to overtake on here. It is a very fast circuit with rather limited braking zones, but the Mustang there definitely making the most of his opportunity. Of the overtaking spots, definitely into this final corner is, or second to last corner I should say, sorry, is your best bet as this Pontiac Solstice goes for a big dive. Gets a lot of wheel spin on the way out. Now, if you do get stuck on the outside, the Cobra very nearly managed to do it. If you get stuck on the outside, you can carry quite a lot of speed on the exit of that corner. The Cobra very nearly able to draw alongside. In the end, couldn't quite do it. It wasn't a match for the Solstice in terms of straight line speed, although the Solstice certainly did look a handful through the corners. This little group, we remained close throughout the race as we were all kind of working our way up through the order. I was trying to find a way past the blue 360 challenge, but it couldn't quite make a move stick, and that kind of compromised me through these faster turns. The Esprit was very quick through the corners, lacked some straight line speed. I could just fend it off. I was just quick enough that whenever it would draw alongside, I would be able to out-accelerate it to the next turn. The Ferrari, a wheel on the grass and being stuck out a little bit too wide would cost it 3 positions. We've seen it time and time again when you're racing with this sort of a group. When everyone is this close, you can't afford to make a mistake. You will be easy pickings for the cars behind, and sure enough, all 3 of us would pounce and find a way past. The Esprit still not quite able to do anything about my Shelby. I was just able to keep far enough ahead before we ever came to any of the corners. Further back, this rather large group would form. Mercedes Gullwing 360 Challenge tries to get to the inside, slightly tangles with the back of the Holden. That would let a lot of the cars off the hook there as they run out of the hairpin there. Yeah, there were some surprisingly large groups going on at the mid-race stage. The Solstice still trying to find a way past the Holden in there. The battle of the red cars was continuing behind my Mustang. As I said, this went on for the entire race, incredibly evenly matched in terms of pace. The Corvette goes for a big dive up the inside, can get the car alongside with the Esprit, and we're seeing time and time again Corvette was a bit quicker than that Lotus when it came to the straight line, and finally the Corvette would find a way past, but his position wouldn't last for long. The Esprit goes for an incredibly narrow gap through to it. That is one of the tougher places to overtake on the track, especially when the gap is so narrow, but the Esprit had the grip to make it stick, and the Corvette just can't fight back through these next couple of corners. A great overtake from the Lotus, and these guys were still fighting at it between the Mercedes, the Solstice. The Pontiac gets himself to the inside, spots the opportunity to get the move done, and of course now the Pontiacs open the door. Everybody else is keen on following past. The Holden would get past the Mercedes. The Ferrari is going to join in as well. The Mercedes, being stuck out of position for just one corner, has got past by 3. And I think a fourth car, as the BMW, will get the move done as well. You just can't afford to be hung out wide in some of these turns because, yeah, when you've got this number of fast cars behind you, everyone is going to it's very unfortunate for the Gullwing, but everyone is going to take advantage. The Ferrari would get a dive up the inside into the final corner and make a move stick on the Holden, but the Holden is fighting back on the outside as we run across the start-finish line almost side by side. The Commodore quick enough to get the move done before we get back into these fast opening corners. Runs a little bit too wide through turn 1. That tends to put you out of position for the second turn, but the Commodore very much parked on the apex, the 360 having not a huge amount of options as to where to go there. They're all now starting to catch up to another BMW. The Mercedes slightly recovering from his slight butchering at one particular corner. This group would eventually start to spread out. The Solstice leading away from the 360 Challenge. You can still see them fighting further back. The Ferrari considerably better through the corners. The Pontiac that a little bit faster in a straight line as we come towards these very, very fast S's. If you have a little bit of an uncooperative car, the Solstice certainly look like these are not particularly fun corners to be going through. They are very tough to get a pass done, but the 360 Challenge has enough grip, could get alongside and get the move done at one of the quickest parts of the circuit. In the end, the poor Solstice just runs out of grip trying to keep up with the Ferrari at the front, and it would be a victory for the 288 GTO. Got to the lead relatively early on and could maintain a sizable gap back. Second place would be the Mustang GT with my Shelby in third, Lotus Esprit in fourth ahead of the Corvette. The fastest lap times between all of us 5 were separated by just half a second. Had we been closer together on track, could have been a very interesting battle. As it was, just no one could really catch anybody at the latter stages of the race. Unfortunately, the replay for Race 2 died. I have it saved on my Xbox. I can see it saved in my library. However, I try and access it. It says there's some invalid data, and I think a few other people also had this problem. So something glitched out with the second race replay. Not quite sure what. So we have to move on to race number 3. We go to the Sebring Full Circuit. And it was certainly a rather hectic start, this track. It's not exactly the widest of circuits, and there were a lot of cars just about managing to fit 2 and 3 wide through these. Unfortunately for a Shelby Daytona on the outside, didn't quite fit through there. It was a lot of 2 and 3 wide at quite narrow parts of this. You don't quite appreciate just how narrow Sebring is until you've got all of these trying to fit through the sections. I'd managed to survive my way through it relatively well. I was fighting with a Fast and Furious Corvette. The Corvette monstrously quick in a straight line. My Mustang that little bit better through the corners as we all again get a little bit caught up. I think a Cadet gets caught on the curb as well. Vicious curves in a couple of places around here. So yeah, the opening lap was a little bit frantic for those of us further back. The leader, where you can just about see him in the distance, was enjoying a huge breakaway. This was the fight for second place. The Firebird trying desperately to hold on to it. The Ford, I was expecting the GT40 to go, but it doesn't quite have the speed of the Firebird, or indeed the El Camino. The pickup truck was really rather quick down this back straight as the Firebird struggles to get turned into this final corner. The El Camino goes to the inside. It's a big slide across the nose of the Pontiac. They all do, though, make it through that turn. The Mercedes is coming, the SLR, with so much straight line speed in that car will get to the inside of the GT40, and a still pretty damn good car through the corners is to the inside of the Firebird as well. The El Camino managing to just get that little bit of a gap back. The SLR still to the inside of the Firebird, is not quite able to get the move done just yet, although staying on the inside for this next long corner. I think he got a little bit on the curb, looked like he could get alongside, ends up losing out to the GT40. Yeah, you don't want to be bouncing across the curbs and sort of stuck on the grass, you can lose a fair bit of time. The Corvette back here would learn, yeah, these curbs can be problematic, even in the dry, can cause issues. You see the C4 just slightly throwing. Of course, that allows the Lexus to close up. The Corvette just can't quite cover that inside line. The Lexus, while does sort of get to the inside for one part, has to go the long way round. The next couple of corners will hold the car there. The Corvette wheel on the grass. So many times you see accidents at that particular turn with the outside tyre on the grass as you go to get on the brakes. Another car, the Ford there, falling foul of the curb. Yeah, having an outside wheel on the grass there, you see so many cars go off. Corvette gets a little bit of oversteer, gets a bit of a slide, does recover it though, however, will lose the position to the Lexus. The GT40 and Firebird would continue their squabble for position. They would end up losing out to a Mustang and the SLR as they would vanish off up the road. Me and the Corvette were now coming to join in the fun. The Corvette, massively quick, in a straight line, breezes its way past the Firebird. The GT40 a little bit closer as we come into the braking zone, and the Ford that bit quicker through the corners. He's trying to get himself to the inside, can't quite be able to do that. Meanwhile, my Shelby would get to the inside of the Firebird on the exit of the hairpin, and I would move up a position. I was trying frantically to follow the Corvette through the field. It was not quite working. I did not have the speed of that car. Second place, and the El Camino was still clinging on to the position against the 65 Mustang, but it was far from easy. These 65 Mustangs can be incredibly quick. I mean, all the meanwhile this is happening, the leader is getting further and further away. The El Camino holding its own in terms of straight line speed, and then whenever it came to a corner was doing a really good job of fending off that Mustang. Was holding the inside line, and the Ford was good, but it just was never quite at this stage able to find a way past the El Camino as we leave the final corner. Again, the Mustang gets a very, very good run, slightly better acceleration down this start-finish straight once more, though the El Camino is going to force it to have to go the long way round, and the Mustang just wasn't quite able. Big slides going on from the El Camino. Finally, the Mustang can get itself to the inside on the run down towards turn 2, but the El Camino isn't giving up, and the Ford just put a wheel on the curb, a wheel across the grass, gets a big slide mid-corner, and that kills all of his momentum and isn't able to make the pass stick. And of course, the more that these two fight, the closer and closer the Mercedes and Corvette were coming, and once more we head down towards the hairpin. And the El Camino is able to just about stay far enough ahead, although the Mustang, very, very close this time around, isn't close enough. Mercedes now right there as they leave the hairpin. The El Camino continues to be very wide. Corvette has come to join in the fun here as well. And the El Camino's acceleration able to just about put it out of range of the Mustang. And yeah, quite infuriating in some ways, I would imagine, for the Mustang tried to find a way past. Further back, the Cadet that had a short curb earlier on was making his way back through the order, fighting against a Mercury as we head down towards the final turn. Final turn at this circuit is really very, very nasty. This final corner is so very, very bumpy, and there are a few different lines that can go on to take speed. The Cadet briefly managing to get the position, and then, yeah, the Mercury cuts back to the inside on the exit, gets a much better run down this start-finish line. The Cadet very nearly falls foul to a Camaro as we head towards turn 1. As I said, yeah, lots and lots of different lines can go on through that final corner. The Camaro tries to get to the inside at turn 1, in the end can't quite do it. The muscle car escaping away at the front of that, having survived the overtake attempt on that final corner. And the bumps are always fun, always interesting at the last turn. In the end, the El Camino just wouldn't quite have the speed to hold off this horde, as the Corvette and Mercedes would now go to battle over this third place. The Corvette goes to the outside at turn 1, but it's a tough place. It's a long way around the outside there, especially when you're in a car car that it doesn't have the greatest amount of grip. The Mercedes just managing to cling on. The Corvette goes for a dive up the inside into turn 2, but again we see a lot in this particular race. Cars trying to get to the inside, but ending up across the curb or across the grass and just not able to carry the speed on the inside line there, and the Corvette would once more be stuck behind. And of course, this fighting, much as the El Camino and Mustangs fighting had helped these two catch up as they started fighting, the El Camino was able to stay with them. It actually helped bring me along up towards this group as well, as still the Corvette was unable to really find a way up the inside of the Mercedes. The SLR was pretty damn rapid in a straight line, not quite as fast as the Corvette, but its superior corner grip, superior handling was enabling it to keep just out of the danger zone of that Corvette whenever it came to a straight. And you see my Shelby just starting to join in the group at the front, and it was the Corvette ZR1 though that would go on to take victory. It started at the front and was able to pull a huge gap while everyone else was busy fighting for position, could drive away from the field relatively comfortably. The lap times were pretty close between the sort of top 3 and 4, but when you've got such a lead early on, very, very difficult for other cars to reel it in. But of course, you've still got to drive it cleanly and not make any mistakes with the Corvette, so certainly a worthy victor. The fight for third would go right down to the line. While the 65 Mustang was too far ahead, the Corvette was still there searching for a way past as they fly into the final corner. The SLR taking a little bit of a tighter line on the way into this final corner and doesn't actually quite get as good a run off of the turn. The Corvette comes flying along, and as they race up towards the line, the Corvette would just get it. Not by very much in that one as we go to the photo finish. Yeah, the Corvette would claim the final of the podium positions. I also love how there is just a tyre from not quite sure where it came from, probably from the final tyre bundle at some point has been racing towards the line. The tyre isn't going to be able to beat these two, but yeah, Corvette would get the third place. It wasn't the only close finish in this race either, as the Shelby Daytona, the Firebird, would gradually drop through the order, but was still going to be fighting for every position here. Firebird a little bit quicker than the Daytona in terms of straight line speed here as we run up towards this final corner. Firebird out very, very wide on the way in. The Shelby can take that tighter line and will get to the inside, gets a little bit of oversteer across those bumps, gets the position briefly, but now there's just the drag race towards the line, and it is the Firebird that would claim the position. Very, very closely matched, those two on the final lap, but yeah, straight line speed of the Firebird was just that little bit too much for the Shelby to do anything about it. Not quite as close for a photo finish this time around. Still, though, not bad between the pair of them. Yeah, the Firebird taking it by half a, not even, but probably a third of a car length between that one. But the tyre beats the pair of them, just off in the corner. I don't quite know how it ended up over there, the joys of Forza oddities in replays, but yeah, there we go. That's quite some good photo finishes going on here at Sebring. However, that is going to be it for this week's Versus the Community. The next one shall be held on Thursday the 25th of August. We are going to go racing with front-wheel drive E-Class cars. If you would like to sign up and take part in that, then you can via our forums. There will be a link in the description. Find the FailRace Versus the Community section and you'll be able to sign up in there. But that's going to be it from me. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.